Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom, and welcome back to today's Daf Pesachim Lamed Aleph. We are at the Mishnah on Lamed Amud Beis. Now 5 lines from the bottom. We learned the Gemara Paskin, the halacha is that we follow Rabbi Shimon. Chametz after Pesach, if it's a chametz of a Yisrael, it's Asr Bahana. Chacham applied a knas because he was over on the Isser Bal Yiro Bal Yimatzah. However, if it's chametz of a goy, then it's mutter because there was no Isser done. Now, what if it doesn't really actually belong to him? For instance, a Yisrael has a claim, has a lien on the chametz. Is it considered to be the chametz of a Yisrael? Likewise, if the Nachri has a claim on chametz, is it considered to be his? Says the Mishnah, Nachri shehilva es Yisrael. Al chametzai, if a Nachri loaned money to a Yisrael, al chametzai, on account of the chametz that belongs to the Yisrael. So the chametz here was presented as a backing on that loan. If I don't repay, you take this chametz. So whose chametz is it? It's the Yisrael's chametz, but it's committed to the repayment of this loan from the guy. So the guy is the Baal Chayv, and the Yisrael is the borrower. Achara Pesach mutar bahana. This chametz after Pesach is mutar bahana. Why? Because it is considered as though it was owned by the guy during Pesach, and it's a chametz of a guy which is mutar bahana. Yisrael shehilva esan achri al chametz. If Yisrael lent money to the guy on account of the chametz of the guy, which is serving as a backup for the loan, achara Pesach asabano. So this chametz is regarded as though it is owned by the Yisrael. It's a chametz shel Yisrael. And after Pesach, it is asabahana. It's ma we learned. Baal Chayv. If Reuven lends Shimon money, and Shimon now committed all his properties, his assets, as guarantors for this loan, comes due date, Shimon doesn't repay the loan. So the Baal Chayv, the lender, Reuven, will come along and collect Shimon's assets. Now, how do we view it? Is it considered his only from this point onward? Or do we say since he had a claim on it, a lien on Shimon's properties all along, it is regarded as though it was owned by the Baal Chayv all this time? Itmar Baal Chayv, a lender who has a lien on the properties of the borrower. If the borrower doesn't repay the loan come due date, and the lender, the Baal Chayv, will come and repossess the borrower's assets, is considered to be a retroactive collection, as though he's collected it from the time of that loan, from the time that the loan was issued. It was already regarded as his retroactively from that point. Until this point, he had a claim, he had a lien. But actually, collection only took place now. So going forward, it's his. He's considered to be owner from this point onward, but not retroactively. Now, what are the ramifications? Let's say the loive, in this case Shimon the borrower, he did the hegdish, he took his assets and was magdish it. Vizavan loive, or the loive sold his properties, the properties which were committed for the repayment of the loan. Kuli amule pligi, all agree, there's no machlekes. The asim malve v'tarf, the malve, Reuven, the Baal Chayv, can go ahead and repossess those assets. He can take it away from the fellow who bought it, because his lien, his claim preceded the sale. He has first rights. Vasi malva park, likewise the malva can come along and redeem it from hegdish. The snan, as we learned in the Mishnah, moisiv oid dinar, upoides anachasim haylo. So let's say the loiva was magdish, these assets which were committed to the Baal Chayv. So the Mishnah says, what happens is the Baal Chayv will add another dinar to the loan. He loaned him 100 dinar. He's going to add another one and say, okay, I'm lending you another dinar. Now you owe me 101. I'll take that extra dinar, give it to hegdish, to be paid to redeem the nechasim, the assets that you are magdish. Rashi explains that technically the hegdish doesn't really take effect because it's not really the loivis to give away. It's meshubad, it's committed to the malva. But with the Rabbanan, we require some form of pidyon to take place. Even just a dinar is enough for appearance sake. It shouldn't appear like the hegdish is simply being taken away for free. So therefore they add another coin to the total loan amount, and they use that coin to redeem these properties. So this is agreed upon by all. The loiva can't go ahead, doesn't have a right to be magdish these properties which are really committed to the Baal Chayv. He doesn't have a right to sell. The Baal Chayv can come and take it away from the buyer because his rights preceded the sale, preceded the hegdish. The question will be, ki pligi, the machlekes in Abai Rav will apply in a case where the zav and malva, not the loiva, but the malva, the Baal Chayv, Reuven, the lender, sold these properties. The kaddish malva, or the malva was mekadish, was magdish these properties. Was he the owner? During this interim period between the issuing of the loan and the time of collection, the due date, in between, who's considered to be the owner? Abaye Omar il-Mafreyahu Goiva. If it turns out that the loiva neglected to repay that loan, and the malva will now repossess these nechasim, these assets, it turns out that it's his retroactively. Given the matazimne, since the time arrived, v'lei pari, and the loiva didn't repay the loan, igloi milsal mafreya. It turns out that retroactively, the mikara b'shusayavakai, that this property was initially considered to be under his jurisdiction, in his possession. It belonged to the Baal Chayv. V'shaper agdish, v'shaper zavin. And he did a proper hegdish and a proper sale. He had the ability to sell and to be magdish because it's his. It's a retroactive procedure. V'rava Amar, he says no. Mekano labo goiva. He collects on his claim going forward. From this point onward. Why? Although he had a right to collect it all along, it was something that was mishubad to him. That's not considered ownership. It says, Rav, I'll prove it to you. Kivun di ilu havale zuzi. Suppose the loiva had some access to money. Have a masalak lu bezuzi. If he would have done that, if he would have taken that money and been masalak lu bezuzi, he would have paid off the malva. He could have done that. If he would have money, have a masalak lu bezuzi. He would have done that rather than have his property be taken away. Since he had the option available, it turns out that if he didn't use that option, he opted to allow the Baal Chayv to take the property. He didn't have access to money, and the Baal Chayv had to take this property. It's something that happened now. It's going forward. It's not retroactive because it didn't necessarily have to end up this way. It's merely circumstantial that the Baal Chayv happens to take this property and repossess the nechasim of the loiva. But it's not absolute. It didn't have to be. Therefore, says Rava, although now he has ownership, but it's only onward and not retroactive. So again, if there is a Baal Chayv, Reuven lent Shimon money, Shimon was meshabed or his nechasim to Reuven, comes due date, he didn't repay the loan, the Baal Chayv is going to be goyiva the nechasim of the loiva. Abaye says it's a retroactive procedure. It turns out that all along, these nechasim belong to the malva. He had a right to sell, to be magdish. Whereas Rava says it's only onward, mikano laba. From now on, it belongs to the malva, but not up until this point. Is that so that Rava maintains that it's only going forward? V'amar Rami bar Chama. Rami bar Chama says like this. Reuven shemachar sadol Shimon b'achrais. Reuven sold a field to Shimon and he backed the sale. He took responsibility for the safety of the field, meaning if the Baal Chayv of Reuven, who has a claim on Reuven, will actually go ahead and repossess his field, take it away from the buyer, from Shimon, Reuven will back the sale. He'll compensate Shimon. So Reuven shemachar sadol Shimon b'achrais, with the guarantee to compensate him in case, for some reason, the field will be taken away from Shimon on account of a loan that perhaps Reuven owes somebody. V'zak fanal v'milva. Now the thing is that Shimon didn't actually pay for the field right now. He wrote a shtar, look, I owe you $100 for this field. He committed himself, like as though it would be a loan. So now we have two commitments simultaneously. We have Shimon, the buyer, committing to pay sale funds, the sale money to Reuven. That's one commitment. And we also have a commitment from Reuven to Shimon. Look, I'm going to back this sale. Now, Umeis Reuven passed away. And what happened? V'asa Baal Chayv de Reuven. The Baal Chayv of Reuven's lender, came along, V'Torah Flame Shimon, and he wanted to grab the field away from Shimon on account of the loan that wasn't yet repaid. He lent Reuven money. Reuven is a loiver. Now he has full rights to Reuven's property. So he goes to Shimon, the buyer, and he says, look, I have first rights to this field. I'm going to take it away. V'asa Shimon. So Shimon came along, upaisi bezuzi, and he appeased them with money. Basically, he's thinking like this: I never really paid for the field yet. I owe the $100 to Reuven, the seller. So instead of giving it to Reuven, let me just pay the Baal Chayv of Reuven. Let me pay him off the $100. This way, I'll pacify him. He'll get his money, and I'll keep my field. So what's the question? Shimon feels, okay, I paid off Reuven's loan. Now, I'm absolved from my commitment to Reuven. I no longer have to pay for the field, because that very same money I've already given to Reuven's Baal Chayv. So what's the halacha? Dinahu. So the halacha is, Da'asu b'nei Reuven, the children of Reuven, the Yisraelim, the orphans could come and say like this: you can't do this. Just because you happen to pay off our father's loan, that doesn't absolve you from your chiv to pay our father, or right now to pay us, the price of the field which you've never paid. Why? Halacha is that one passes away, the Baal Chayv only has a right to collect if the mace left over property, karka, but something immobile is not committed to Baal Chayv. Rashi Bava Mitzi explains because only the thing which is really meshubad to Baal Chayv can the Baal Chayv come and take. And as Rashi explains, a Baal Chayv sets his mind on something immobile, karka, houses, fields, which can't be carted away. So the real lien, the real claim, is directed at immobiles, at karka, at nechasim. So that is still meshubah to a Baal Chayv even after the Baal Chayv passes away. That shibud that was activated during the lifetime of the mace is still here, is still present, and the Baal Chayv can go and grab that karka. But metaltal, that's not something which the Baal Chayv sets his mind on. It's something you can just walk away with. So there's no real shibud, no real claim, no real lien directed at immobiles, at metaltal. So therefore, the Baal Chayv cannot go and collect these metaltal, because it's as though he's taking from the Yisraelim. They're not committed to their father's loan. If he takes karka, then it's as though he's taking something from the father himself, because that shibud was applied to that property during the father's lifetime. So the halacha is that when we have Yisraelim, karka that was around during the father's lifetime can be collected by the Baal Chayv of the father, but not metaltal. So getting back to our case, Reuven sold a field to Shimon. Shimon committed himself in writing, I'm going to pay you the sale money. So it's a claim that Reuven has on Shimon. And Shimon has a claim on Reuven. Look, you're backing my sale, right? If somebody takes it away, you're going to repay me, you're going to compensate me. Now, the money that Shimon really owes Reuven on account of the sale, on account of the field that he purchased, is that karka or is that metaltalin? Money is metaltalin. So the Yisraelim turn around to Shimon and say, look, what happened here? You took the money that you owed our father, which is really metaltalin of our father, and you used it to repay our father's loan. You shouldn't have done that. How silly of you. That metaltalin is not meshubah to Baal Chayv. It's metaltalin of Yisraelim. So our father's Baal Chayv had really no right, had no claim on those monies. You shouldn't have given it to him. And at the same time, you can't say, well, now you're owed money, and because you had an expense on account of this purchase, you had to pay off the Baal Chayv, and on account of that, You're going to hold on to the money now. You're no longer going to repay us for the field. That is also metaltlin. You can't say, well, you're going to hold on to money that belongs to us. So the point here is that you lost your money. You paid off the Baal Chayv, it was nice of you, but you still have to pay up for the field that you purchased. Dinahu means according to the strict halacha, this is what's going to happen. The Osur b'nei Reuven, the children of Reuven, the orphans, Va'amar Shimon will come along and tell Shimon, look, Anan, us, metaltli, shavak avun gabach. Our father left metalton by you. Which means that the money that you were supposed to give us for the field is metalton. It's mobile items. It's money. It's not karka. That metalton is not meshubah to anybody. You shouldn't have given it over to the Baal Chayv, who has no rights, no claim on that metalton. Umetatli di yasmi, a metalton of Yisayim le Baal Chayv le mishtavi. Are not committed to a Baal Chayv of their father. So you lost your money. You shouldn't have given it to the Baal Chayv, and you still have to pay up for the field that you purchased. So that's Rabbi Machamas Allah. Again, Reuven sold a sadeh to Shimon. Shimon committed in writing to pay him for that field. Reuven committed to accept responsibility, achrayis, for the sale, to back the sale, to compensate Shimon if somebody comes along and takes it from him. A Baal Chayv of Reuven. And Reuven passed away. Shimon decided to pay off Reuven's Baal Chayv with money and hold on to his field rather than relinquishing the field. He figures tit for tat. Look, I paid off the Baal Chayv, I took care of Reuven's account, now I'm parted from paying for the field. The Yisayim tell him, no, you shouldn't have given your money to the Baal Chayv, which is not committed to a Baal Chayv, because it's metalton of Yisayim, and it's money that you owe to the Yisayim. That doesn't go to the Baal Chayv. So although you paid him off, you still owe us for the field. V'amar Rava, and here's the punchline. Rava said, look, if Shimon is a wise fellow, this is what he should do. So that he can gain and hold on to his field. Magbilhu ara. He says, you're right. Shimon to the Yisayim, look, you have a point. I owe you the $100 for the field. Right? I purchased the field, I haven't yet paid you for the field. So he says, look, instead of giving you money, I'm going to give you some karka. Look, take the field. I owe you money, here's the field. And then he can turn around and repossess that same very field. Why? The Amar of Nachman. Yisayim who collected karka on account of their father's loan. Somebody owed their father money, and he went and repaid using karka. The father's no longer in existence, he's no longer alive, but the Yisayim collected their father's loan. They took karka on account of that loan. Now, if their father owed somebody money, there's a Baal Chayv out there who has a shibud, a claim on their father. Since they now received karka on account of a loan that was owed to their father, now a Baal Chayv who has a claim on their father can go ahead and take that very karka. Now, Rava says, look, the same thing by us. In the case of Reuven and Shimon with the field. Shimon owes the Yisayim money on account of the sale. He never paid for the field. He'll give them karka. Now, loch is that the Yisayim collected karka on account of something that was owed to them. A Baal Chayv can come back and take that karka. Right? We said the metalton of Yisayim are not mishubah to Baal Chayv, but karka is. Now they have karka. So you can go ahead and retrieve that same karka. Look, I owe you money for the sale. Here's karka. But look, I lost money due to the sale. Look, I had to pay off the Baal Chayv. What happened to the achrayis? What happened to the fact that your father committed himself to guarantee the sale? You owe me something. Fine, I can't take money from you because metalton of Yisayim are not mishubah to your father's commitments. But karka is. Here's your karka. Happens to be the karka that I gave you. But here you have karka. Let me retake that karka. So you end up back with the same field. Okay. So we have Rava adding a new twist to Rabbi Machamas halacha. We have a way that Shimon can hold on to his karka. So let's analyze. How does this work? You're telling me, well, if he gives them karka, he can retake that karka. That should only work if we say that when a Baal Chayv is goiva, it happens retroactively. So when they get back their karka, it's as though the father attained possession. He had that karka in his lifetime, right? Because when a Baal Chayv takes something at the point of collection, it's as though he always had it. He had it to begin with, from the point of the halva. So this karka is deemed as though it was in the possession of the father during his lifetime. So now, a Baal Chayv of the father can come back and say, well, this is the father's property, I have a right to it. But if you say that when a Baal Chayv collects something, it's only going forward, it's only from this point onward, so what happened here? Shimon gave some karka to the Yisraelim. Okay, so they acquired possession going forward. It's not their father's karka, it's not related to their father. How can Shimon turn around and say, well, your father is committed to me, I'm a Baal Chayv of your father, I want to take this karka. This karka is unrelated, unconnected to their father. Let's see inside. This works well if you say that when a Baal Chayv collects something, it's retroactive. That's why Shimon has right to regain possession, to recollect this karka. He gives it to them and takes it right back. Look, I owe you something, but you owe me. The command the gova machayim, davu and domi. It's as though they were gova during the lifetime of their father, because it's retroactive. It's as though the father collected this karka, because when he returned the karka, when he paid off his loan, right, he's committed to pay for the sale. So when he gives them karka in lieu of that money, it's lafrei. It's as though the father had already collected it during his lifetime. Lafrei means from the point of the loan, the point of the commitment, point of sale, when the father was around. So it's considered as though the father had it in his hands. Okay, the father's property, the father's nechasim. Amar Shuba to Baal Chayv. So now Shimon, who also happens to be a Baal Chayv of Reuven, because Reuven sold the Sada Be'achrais, now he owes him on account of the sale, because Shimon lost money on account of the sale. He had to go pay off the Baal Chayv of Reuven. So Reuven has to compensate him. Fine, he has to compensate him with karka that he had in his lifetime. It's as though he had this karka in his lifetime. It's his father's karka. However, if we follow Rava, who holds that the collection is only executed going forward, what right does Shimon have to go regain possession, ownership of this karka? How can he go ahead and take away this karka? He has no claim on this karka. It's as though the Yisraelim purchased nechasim. It's something new, it's a new arrival introduced on the scene. It's not related to the father. The father never collected this. It's going forward. From the point of collection, it's theirs. The father never had this in his hands. Let's say Yisraelim purchased nechas. Are you going to say it is committed to the Baal Chayv, the father? It's not related to the father. So Rava, who holds that a Baal Chayv is goyve mekano labo, how can he tell us that in this case Shimon can go ahead and do this trick? Here's some karka, let me have it back. Once he gives it to them, it's karka of Yisraelim. He can't go ahead and retrieve that karka on account of the chayiv, the claim that he has on the father. It's not the father's nechasim. It was acquired by the Yisraelim today. This is a kasha on Rava. From Rava on the other Rava. Shani Hasam. So there's more there, it's different, because there's a new concept which will allow for this. It's called Shibuda de Rav Nosson. What it means is like this. Let's say Reuven lent Shimon 100. Shimon lent Levi 100. Levi wants to turn around and pay back. Who is going to pay it to? Is he going to pay it to his lender, Shimon? Or does he have to give it back to Reuven, his lender's lender? Shibud Rav Nosson means you pay it back to your lender's lender. Therefore, in this case, we have two claims. We have Reuven, who has a claim on Shimon. Look, I sold you the field, never paid me for it. Then we also have Shimon, who has a claim on Reuven. Look, you backed the sale, you guaranteed it. And now I had an expense on account of the sale. I had to pay off the Baal Chayv. So Reuven has a claim on Shimon, but Shimon has a claim on Reuven. compensate me for my loss. So Reuven says, look, I really owe you, right? But you owe me. You're my lender, right? You sold me the field. It says, oh, you lent me money because I never paid you for it. So you lent me something, but I also lent you. I have a claim on you because of the guarantee, because of the achrayus, that you're going to compensate me of my loss. So really, I am my lender's lender. So I just keep the field. I take it from one pocket and put it in the other. So that explains why Rava says if this fellow is smart, you have to be really smart for this, a bikeach, if he's a wise fellow, he'll just end up holding on to the field. He'll offer it to them, I'll take it right back. Look, I owe you, but you owe me. I'm just going to hold on to the field. Says Mashani Hassam, there it's different. The Amarlu, because he tells them, look, just as I am mishubet, I'm committed to your father, I have to pay him the sale money. Mishtabadna nami lebal chaydavuchen. Likewise, I am committed to the bal chayv of your father, the lender of your father. In this case, happens to be myself. Midrab Nas, the son of Nasnaim, menayin l'noisha b'chaver money. How do we know the halacha that if Reuven has a claim of a mana, 100 coins, on Shimon, so he lent Shimon 100, the chaver b'chaver, and Shimon has the same type of claim on Levi. Levi wants to turn around and pay the money. Who's going to repay? Shemaitzin mezeh, we take out from Levi. V'nois lezeh, we pay Reuven. How do we know? Tamad leimar v'nosan la'asher osham loy. He gives it to the one who the money belongs to. Doesn't say to the one who lent in the money. To the one who the money belongs to. It doesn't belong to my lender. It belongs to my lender's lender, because my lender is committed to his lender. So instead of giving it to Levi, giving it to Shimon, he gives it directly to Reuven. That explains our case as well. Reuven is Shimon's lender, but Shimon, in turn, is also Reuven's lender. Because although Shimon has to pay for the sale, the purchase price, for the purchase money for the field, so Reuven is Shimon's lender, but Shimon really is also Reuven's lender, because Reuven has to compensate him for his loss. So Shimon says, look, I'm going to take this field and offer it to the Simon to repay my loan, but then I'll just keep it. I'll just hold on to it because their father owes me. So it's a direct process. Instead of giving it to the Simon, which creates a concern, because when the Simon purchased something, who says it goes to the Bachayv of the father? No, I'm not going to give it to them. I'm just going to hold on to it. I'm going to take it from one pocket and put it in the other. So that explains how Shimon can hold on to that property. Okay, so let's get back to the Baal Choiv. Reuven lent Shimon money. Comes the due date, Shimon fails to repay. Reuven repossessed in the chasm of Shimon. Abaye says it works retroactively. Rava says it works onward from this point going forward. Let's analyze our Mishnah in view of this discussion. Tanan Nachri shehilva es Yisrael chametz. If a Nachri lent money to Yisrael on account of the chametz of the Yisrael, will serve as a backup for the loan. What is the halacha? Is it considered to be mutter after Pesach, asr after Pesach? Says the Mishnah, achar Pesach mutter b'hano. This chametz after Pesach is mutter b'hano. Why? Because it's regarded as though it was owned by the Nachri, the Baal Choiv. This was a mashkin, a collateral, and it's considered like it was owned by the Nachri. Let's analyze. It works well if you say that when a person collects on his claim, it's a retroactive collection. That explains mutabana. Why? It's mutabana because we're dealing with just a simple claim. At this point, we're not dealing with a mashkin that's going to come soon. It was just a simple lien that the Nachri had on the nechasim of the Yisrael. Look, I lent you money, I have a claim to your properties. Comes due date, you haven't paid, I'm going to collect it. And it's a retroactive procedure. It's as though the guy assumed ownership from the point of the loan onward. So the chametz is the guy's. Chametz of a guy is mutabana. Eli ams mikano labo goy. However, according to Rava, that the ownership is only commenced going forward. It's only from the point of collection onward. Amai mutaba no. So why is this chametz, which was only collected now after Pesach, regarded as the chametz of a goy? He never acquired possession of it. It was never his. He collected it after Pesach. B'shutzi Yisrael. It was the Yisrael's. Havakoy. Says the Gemara Mayaskinan. We're not speaking about just a plain claim. Keshirhino Esle. We're speaking that the Yisrael actually deposited it into the possession of the goy. He put it under his jurisdiction. It's a mashkin, like collateral. In which case, it's not just a simple claim, not a simple gvia, simple collection. It's more than that. It's a mashkin. And a Baal Chayv acquires the mashkin. He has a part ownership on the mashkin. It's as though it's his. So the Nochri, who had possession of this chametz as a guarantor, as a mashkin, is considered to be the owner of that chametz. And that chametz after Pesach is mutter. Perhaps this discussion between Abai and Rava is contingent on Machlokes Tanoi. Yisrael, Shilva Nochar Chametz. Yisrael lent money to a guy, using the chametz of the guy as a backup for the loan. Lachar Pesach Eino Oiver. So after Pesach he's not Oiver. It's mutter b'hana because he wasn't Oiver and Bal Yorah B'Yimotze. It was considered the chametz of the guy. Mishum Rav Meir Amru. However, the name of Rav Meir, they said, Oiver. Yeah, this chametz is also after Pesach, is regarded like the chametz of a Yisrael, because he was Oiver and Bal Yorah B'Yimotze. Ma'ila B'Ka Mifleke. Perhaps this is machlekes. The Ma'ar Savar Ma'freyo Goiver. Rav Meir holds that when one collects, it's retroactive. So the Yisrael, who's the Baal Chayv in this case, is the owner of this chametz. Umar Savar Mekanal Abo Goiver. However, the Tanakama says it's going forward. So although the Yisrael is Baal Chayv, but he didn't have possession of it during Pesach, although he collected it after Pesach, it's only an acquisition going forward. However, during Pesach itself, who did it belong to? The guy. So perhaps this Machlokes Tanoim is actually parallels Abai and Rava. V'tisbro, can you say this? Can this be the pshat in the Machlokes? Let's proceed to the next part of the Bryce. So the first part we discussed the Yisrael who lent the guy money. Now we have Aval Nachri Shehuval Yisrael Al Chametzai. But if a Nachri lent money to Yisrael using the chametz of a Yisrael as backing for that loan, Lachra Pesach Tivra Koil Oiver. What happens after Pesach? All agree it's Aser because he was Oiver and Bal Yorah B'Yimotze. How does that work? This same discussion as we had in the first case, where the Yisrael was Baal Chayv, should apply in the second case, where the Nachri is Baal Chayv. It just should be reversed. The same halacha, just the opposite. Lamanda Omar Hossam Eino Oiver. According to the Tanakama, where when the Yisrael was the Baal Chayv, since we say Mikanol Habo Goyva, he was only considered a Balam going forward from the time of collection onward after Pesach. So therefore, the chametz is mutter. It wasn't the Yisrael. So according to that, Hacha Oiver in this case can be just the opposite. When the Nachri is the Baal Chayv. So since the halacha is Mekanal Abo Goiva, so Nachri actually collects on that claim. It's only going forward. But during Pesach, would have belonged to the Yisrael. So he's Oiver. Lamanda Omar Hossam in Oiver. Manda Omar that says over there he's Oiver. Rav Meir. When the Yisrael was a Baal Chayv, we say Lema Afreyahu Goiver is considered as though it belonged to Yisrael all along, and therefore he's Oiver. So Hacha Ein Oiver. In the case of the Sefer where the Nachri was the Baal Chayv, here too we should say it is regarded as though it belonged to the Nachri all along, because when he collected it after Pesach, it was a retroactive collection, and even during this interim period it belonged to the Goy, so it's a chametz of a Goy. So if this is the basis of their machlokes, Mafreil and Kan Laba, why in the Sefer with the Nachri is the Baal Chayv does the Mishnah say all agree it's okay? It should be contingent on the same machlokes. Eloch of my skin says the more apparently we're not speaking about just a standard claim. We're speaking that they made it into a mashkin. He deposited it into the possession of the Baal Chayv. It was placed under the jurisdiction of the Baal Chayv. So the lender used it as a collateral. It's a mashkin. There's a new context. It's not your typical lien, your typical claim which was collected upon. It's a mashkin. A mashkin is considered to be somewhat yours. Ukumiflagi Rabbi Yitzchak. Machlekes in this brisa between Tanakam and Meir is based on Rabbi Yitzchak. Rabbi Yitzchak. Menayin l'bal chayv shekoyne mashkin. How do we know that a bal chayv is koyne the mashkin? It's considered like it's as though he has part ownership in the mashkin. Rashi says he's fully responsible for it. If something happens to it, even b'oinus, he has to go ahead and compensate. It says, oh, it's his. Shenamar l'choti et stuck. The pasuk there is instructing the bal chayv. You know, if the loiv is desperate for this item, you give it back to him when he needs it, and it's going to be considered like an act of stuck on your part. Now, if it's yours, you can do it stuck. You can't do it stuck with somebody else's property. If he's not going to be kind of the mashkin, and it's not his, stuck in Menayin, how do you get stuck? We learn from here that a bal chayv actually has a kinyan on the mashkin. So that's a universal halacha presented by Rabbi Yitzchak. How does it apply to us? Tanakama Savar, so Tanakama, this brisa holds, Hani Mili Yisrael Misrael. That only applies to Yisrael who has a mashkin from another Yisrael. Who the Karina Bey L'chati Tzedakah. So over there we apply the concept of tzedakah, which only applies to Yisrael from Yisrael. So the Torah, which describes this act as an act of tzedakah, is describing a bal chayv Yisrael who has in his possession a mashkin of Yisrael. So the Yisrael mi Yisrael is kind of mashkin. Avol Yisrael min nachri like kani. But if Yisrael should have a mashkin from a guy, we don't apply this concept. He's not kaina. So therefore, getting back to the brisa, if Yisrael was a bal chayv, and the chametz of the guy was used as a mashkin, right? That's the case. Here, Hinoi Hesla. The guy deposited into the house of Yisrael. He's holding on to it as a mashkin. Tanakama says, who cares? A mashkin of a guy is not nikna to the Yisrael. He's not koine the mashkin. That's not his. So perhaps all agree that mikan ulahabah ugoyva. Like Rava, when you actually collect on your claim, it's going forward. It's not yours retroactively. And although it's a mashkin, that only applies when a Yisrael has a mashkin from another Yisrael, then it's his. But in this case, where Yisrael is holding on to the mashkin of a goy, this chametz is considered the chametz of a goy. He's not koine. Therefore, Tanakam says it's mutter. For Meir Sovar, he says no. Even in this case, is considered to be the Yisrael who's koine the mashkin. Kal v'chomer. We use the kal v'chomer as follows: Yisrael mi Yisrael koine. If Yisrael who has a mashkin from another Yisrael is considered to be like an owner, he's koine. Yisrael menachal the kolshke, and certainly if he has a mashkin of a goy, he's koine the mashkin. Therefore, says Rameir, when Yisrael is a bal chayv, and the nachri deposited some of his chametz by the Yisrael as a mashkin, the Yisrael is koine. It's considered to be chametz shel Yisrael and asur. So that explains the reish of the brayse. Yisrael is a bal chayv. The nachri gave him chametz as a mashkin. Tanakama says he's not koine from a goy. Therefore, it's mutter. Rameir says he's koine and asur. Avo. Now let's proceed to the second part of the brayse. Nachri Shehova, Yisrael chametz. The Nachri lent money to Yisrael, using the chametz of a Yisrael as collateral. Achar Pesach, the V'rakol over. All agree in that case. This chametz is deemed as though it is owned by Yisrael. It's considered chametz shel Yisrael, and he's over by Yivra, and it's also b'hana. Why? Why is this different? Hasavat. There certainly Nachri mi Yisrael like Kani. A guy is not kind of the mashkin of Yisrael, and that's agreed upon by all. And that explains why in the seif of the brayse no machlekes. The chametz of Yisrael deposited by the Nachri certainly is not considered the Nachri. The Nachri is not kind of the mashkin of Yisrael. It's considered chametz shel Yisrael and it's asur. So we attempted to hinge the machlekes of Abai v'Rava with the machlekes Tanoim, Tanakam and Rameir. The Gemara says no, we're not speaking about a typical collection, a typical claim. We're speaking about a mashkin. A mashkin is a different story. A person is kind of mashkin. Well, it depends. Yisrael from Yisrael certainly is kind of. That's agreed upon by all. It's universal. What about Yisrael from a guy, such as in the reish of the brayse? A machlokes. A nachri from Yisrael? Certainly not. And that's the seif of the brayse. And therefore, when the nachri is the bal chayv of the Yisrael, this chametz doesn't belong to the guy. A nachri is not kind of the mashkin of Yisrael, and therefore, it's asur b'hana. T'nan. Let's take another look at our mission. Nachri Shehova is Yisrael chametz. Nachri lent money to Yisrael on account of the chametz of the Yisrael. Achar Pesach muter b'hana. After Pesach it's muter. And the Gemara more earlier said, well, according to Rava, Why is it mutabana? If we say that the ownership is only activated going forward, why do we consider it to be chametz of a guy? The Gemara told us earlier because it was a mashkin. It was deposited into the hands of the nachri, in which case it's considered to be the nachri. Now, let's reanalyze that discussion in the view of our most recent back and forth. Says the Gemara, one second, so certainly you suggested that the Yisrael was here, he deposited the chametz by the guy. It's a mashkin. That explained why it was regarded like chametz of goy. But you just told me, ha'amris, nachri mi Yisrael leikani. A nachri is not koine the mashkin of Yisrael. So why is it considered like the nachris? And why is it mut? Like kasha, the answer is, it depends if you added another element into the equation. You're right. Your typical mashkin won't work in this case. A nachri is not koine the mashkin of Yisrael. And as far as the gvia of the nechasim, it's only mekan al going forward, according to Rav. But if he added another aspect called me'achshav, at the point of the loan, at the point of the halva, B'chayv says, look, I'm lending you the money. If you don't repay, I'm going to repossess these nechasim, I'm going to be goive, and it's going to be retroactive. It's going to be me'achshav from this point onward. So since they're saying that clearly, it's expressed explicitly, may akshav, my ownership will commence from this point onward. Even Rabbi would agree that if at the end of the day he doesn't repay the loan, the malva, the balchay, will have acquired these nechasim retroactively. And that's the case of our Mishnah. And therefore, even according to Rabbi, this mashkin belonged to the guy all along. Because if he doesn't pay his loan, as happened, as actually did happen, he didn't pay the loan, the chametz is considered the guy's retroactive. Says the Gemara, Had Amalei Ma'achshav. The Mishnah is speaking where he said Ma'achshav. And therefore all agree, who's the owner? The Baal Chayv. Had Alei Amalei Ma'achshav, the Brisa, which we just discussed, that differentiated between the guy and the Yisrael. The Yisrael is kaina, the guy is not kaina mashkin. We're speaking about a typical mashkin where there was no me'achshav stated. He just gave him a mashkin and let it be. So the question is, whether or not he's kaina, that depends on the discussion in the Gemara earlier. But if he said explicitly, me'achshav, I'm giving this to you as a mashkin. If I don't repay you, it's going to be yours from this moment onward. All agree that if he doesn't actually end up paying him, it's igloi milsa. It's become clear that this thing belongs to the Malva, the Chayv, all along. And that's the case of our Mishnah. How do you know this distinction? That there's any difference between when he said Me'achshav, in which case he's considered to be owner from now on, and between a case where he didn't say Me'achshav. How do you know to differentiate between the two? It's a big chiddush. How do you know? This Sanya. Nachrisha Hirhin, Pas Purni, a guy who handed over as a mashkin, pas purni, a bread which was baked in a large size oven. So a large size bread, a chasher bread, ate to Yisrael. So he left it as a mashkin by the Yisrael on account of a loan. Einoi over. So the Yisrael is not over. Why is it not over? Because he holds that a Yisrael is not kind of a mashkin from a guy. Right? I discussed earlier. So that's the sheet of this Tana. However, says the Brisa, if he says, look, this is yours. Meaning, at the point of the issuing of that loan, he says, look, if I don't repay you, it's yours, but not from the point of collection onward, not from the due date onward, from right now onward. In that case, Oiver. Yisrael's Oiver because it's considered to be his. Maishna Reisha, Maishna Seifa. What is the difference between the Reisha, where we say the Yisrael is not over, it's not considered to be his, in contrast to the Sefer, where he's over? What's the difference? Ella lav shma. Apparently it's pretty clear. Shani, there's a difference. Heichad amalei me'achshav. The difference where he said me'achshav, where indeed is considered to be his retroactively, leichad amalei me'achshav, to a case where he didn't say me'achshav, where it isn't necessarily his. Shma mina, and this is it right. Okay, so in conclusion, we discussed a case where Baal Chayv went ahead and collected on his claim. Abaye says the gviya is mafrei, it's retroactive, it's considered to be his all along. If he sold it, if he was magdashid, it's considered to be his. Rava says he only acquires ownership going forward, mekan alaba. But that's with your standard collection. What if it was a mashkin? Hirhina yetzli? Then it depends. A Yisrael is koine mashkin from another Yisrael. That's agreed upon by all. A Yisrael from a Nachri, that's a machlekes. Tankan Rameir. A Nachri from Yisrael, all agree is not koine. But if he added one clause, me'akshav, look, I'm giving you this mashkin. If I don't repay you, it's going to be yours from this moment onward. All agree. When he indeed collects that later on, it is a retroactive collection. And for instance, in the case where the Nachri gave a mashkin to the Yisrael, in this manner, is considered to be property of the Yisrael, and this chametz would be asur after Pesach. Continues the Gemara. Tanu Rabban, Chanus shel Yisrael, umalai shel Yisrael. You have a store owned by Yisrael with the supply of chametz also belonging to the Yisrael. Upei ale nachrim, nichnas l'sham. You have these nachrim workers coming in and out. Chametz shenim sesham achar Pesach. The chametz that is found here after Pesach, who does it belong to? Is it the chametz of the owner, the Yisrael, and is asur, or the guy? Asur b'hana, it's asur b'hana, ve'in tzarach leim b'achila, and certainly can't be eaten, because it is presumed to belong to the owner. Chametz shel nachri, umalai shel nachri. If it's a store of a guy, filled with the supply of the guy, upa ali Yisrael, and nichnasen b'yetz l'sham, and the Jewish workers coming in and out of there, chametz shenimtza sham achar Pesach. Chametz that's found in that store after Pesach, mutar b'achila. Certainly can eat, ve'in tzarach leim b'hana, and of course, Bahana. The point is that we attribute the chametz to the owner. It's probably part of his supply. So if the owner is a yid, the chametz is asur. If the owner is a nachri, the chametz is mutar. Continues the Mishnah, chametz shenafla olav apolos. You have chametz that have apolos, a structure collapsed on it. Now it's buried beneath. Hari kimavor, it's as though it was an avoyer, non-existent. Don't worry about it. Rabbi Shimon Omer, how deep? Kol she'en hakelev yochol lechapis acharav. Is to be beyond the reach of a dog, beyond his smelling abilities. So since it's inaccessible to a dog, it's considered to be non-existent, buried on the ground, and it's mevoyer. You don't have to take care of it, you don't have to burn it. However, in addition to being buried, you have to do bittul. Rashi says, just in case he happens to uncover the chametz on Pesach, in which case it's going to be over bal yirah, so do bittul in addition to having it buried. Tana, we learned in the Brayso, kama chafisas hakelev. Shimon Gamliel explains that it needs to be deep enough, beyond the reach of a dog. What is that? Until what point can the dog still discern the scent of the item? What is considered to be within his reach? Shloisha tfachim. Anything within 3 tfachim is considered to be within reach. So the chametz here must be beyond 3 tfachim. Amalei Rav Acha b'rei Rav Yisrael Rav Ashi. Hadamar Shmuel. This that Shmuel said, Ksofim ein lam shmir ala b'karka. If a person accepted a money deposit, in order to be really responsible, to really secure it, the only way to properly safeguard money is deep in the ground. You have to bury it. The question is, how deep? Mi b'inin shleisha tfachim alai. Do we need 3 tfachim or not? Perhaps just as over here we need 3 tfachim, by the chametz, there as well you have to bury 3 tfachim to the ground. Amar lei. So Rav Ashi responded, no connection. Hacham mishum reicha. Over here the point is, because of the scent, we want it to be beyond the reach of a dog. Now we need 3 tfachim for that, so that the dog can no longer discern the smell of this chametz. Over there, it's only to get it out of sight, to cover it. And so you don't have to 3 tfachim. That's not needed. If so, how much do you need? How deep in the ground do you have to bury that money to keep it safe and secure? So Rav from Rapapa from Sichra said, tefach. 1 tefach on the ground is sufficient to keep it safe and secure. Okay, time for a brief chazor of today's daf. We began with the Mishnah. Chametz of Yisrael after Pesach is asur b'hana. Chametz of a goy is mutar. What if there is a claim on that chametz? Who does it belong to? The Mishnah says, if the Nachri has a claim, it's considered the Nachri's. If the Yisrael has a claim, it's considered the Yisrael's. The Gemara proceeded to a standard case of a Baal Choiv, who has a claim on a property of a loiva, and he goes and cashes in on that claim. Abaye says it's a retroactive ownership, and therefore if the malva sold that karka, was magdish it in that interim period between the issuing of the loan and the collection of that property, it's considered to be his. Because when the loiva failed to repay, and the malva took possession, it's a retroactive ownership. It was considered his all along. Rava says it's going forward. Look, the loiva had the option of paying him off. He didn't have to give him this property. So if he would have had money, he certainly would have opted to pay him off. So, although it ended up in the possession of the malva, but it's not something which is absolute, and the ownership has only been acquired going forward. We learned about a yosem, that he doesn't have to repay his father's loan unless there's karka that was around during his father's lifetime. We learned about the concept of shibuda de Rav Nosson. So you have to repay your lender's lender. And then we went back to the Machlokes Abaye v'Rava. And we analyzed our Mishnah in light of that discussion. The Mishnah says if the Nachri is a Baal Chayv, and then collects on his claim, he takes the Chametz, it was considered his all along. According to Abaye, that works, because it's a retroactive collection, retroactive ownership. According to Rava, it's only going forward. So why do we say that it's a chametz of a guy? If you only collected after Pesach, the Gemara said, we're not speaking about a standard lien, a standard commitment, a standard claim. We're speaking about Hirahino Hetzli. The Yisrael actually deposited the chametz in the hands of the guy as a mashkin. And as the Gemara soon will tell us, he added another clause called me'achshav, which means that if I don't repay you, it's going to be yours from this moment onward. They're standing before Pesach now. From this moment onward, it's going to be yours. And even according to Rava, this is going to be the chametz of a goy. Although generally a goy doesn't have a kinyan of mashkin of Yisrael. In this case, since he expressed that me'achshav word, it's considered to be the chametz of a goy and is mutar b'hana. So we learned that generally speaking, a Baal Chayv, when he's goyva a property, Abaye says it's retroactive, Mafreya, Rava says M'kan Laba. But if there was Hirahina, in which case there was an additional element of a mashkin, then it depends. A Yisrael is certainly kaina a mashkin of another Yisrael. We learn that from the fact that the pasuk describes his good deed as tzedakah. You allow the loiva to use his mashkin as tzedakah. Apparently it's his to allow. It's his for tzedakah. Regarding Yisrael, who has a mashkin of a goy, then we run into machlekes. Tanakama Rameir, Tanakama says the Yisrael considered to be the owner, and Rameir says no, Yisrael is not the owner, and the nafkamina would be of course for chametz on Pesach. According to Tanakama, the Yisrael is the owner, so it's considered chametz of Yisrael. Whereas according to Rameir, Yisrael is not koine that chametz, it's considered to be the chametz of a nachr. All agree a nachr is not koine a mashkin of Yisrael, and in the case where the Yisrael lent money to the Nachri lent money to Yisrael, and he had a mashkin of the Yisrael, it's not considered the chametz of a goy, and therefore all agree this chametz is asabahna. However, says the Gemara, if me'achshav was added, that is considered to be a retroactive ownership. So even if the Nachri had a mashkin of Yisrael, but they specified, look, this is going to be yours me'achshav, if I don't repay you, you're considered to be the owner from this point, the point of the halva onward. All agree it belongs to the guy. That explains our Mishnah. Even according to Rava, who holds that it's a Mekana Lahaba collection, only going forward from the time of the due date onward, but if it was L'mafreya, if it was Me'achshav, all agree it's L'mafreya, and therefore, when the Nachri had this chametz considered to be his, and it's mutar b'hana. We learned about a case where they found some chametz in a store, so we attributed it to the owner and his supply. And finally we learned about chametz which was buried under this collapsed structure. If it is 3 tfachim beneath the ground, beneath the structure, beyond the reach of a dog, harei k'mavar, don't worry about it. Rav Chizda adds, in addition to being mavar, you have to make sure that it doesn't resurface on Pesach. Just to be sure, do bittul in addition.